Welcome to the Straight Red Card, and Brent and I are here today to tackle the upcoming U.S. versus Costa Rica match as far as who's going to start. And I always kind of take the viewpoint, Brett, of not who I'd like to start, but who I really think is going to start based on what we know about Jurgen Klinsmann and who's available.
I will say you have a better track record of that. To be fair, when I say that I'm always wrong, it's usually by like a player or two or a formation and how the players are going to be playing, whereas you're generally pretty spot on.
Why don't we just start up top? I mean, that's the easiest place to start, I think, at least now that we know that Josi's been cleared and he's back in the lineup. I don't think there's any doubt that we're going to see Josi up top, and I don't care what anybody says. We don't play a 4-2-3-1. People can go on and on about that all they'd like. I know that's what they say on ESPN when they put it on the board. But let's be real honest about the way it plays. It plays like a 4-4-1-1.
Of course. And
that one behind Altidore is typically, in this situation, when we have Dempsey available as well, it's going to be Altidore Dempsey up top would be my best estimate for the game against Costa Rica.
Yeah, with Josi being cleared to play, saying that everything's fine, I would imagine that Klinsmann would start him. Of course, I'm not at the practices, and I can't see how Josi's playing, so if he's still recovering from it, maybe he's not as sharp if he's been off the pitch for a bit. Maybe you do see an EJ start over top of him, or Aaron Johansson.
Yeah.
Throwing that as an example. I mean, at this point, who knows? I mean, it just depends on what type of shape Josi's in. If he's ready to play, then he's ready to play, and he'll start. I mean, hell, he's got, 7 goals and 2 assists in the past 5 games that he's played for the United States?
Right.
If he's ready to play, there's no way he can bench that. No,
I mean, the other interesting possible wiggle into this is that, let's say Altidore isn't quite ready for whatever reason. They're still being cautious. The other interesting concept or idea was push LD up there, Landon Donovan up there to start with Dempsey and just put Zusi out on the right midfield spot instead of Landon Donovan. I mean, that's an option. I think it would be fun to watch. But I think if Josi says he's good and his club says he's good and he's here, my guess is there's probably a 99% chance he's going to start. Just taking that.
I agree with you on that. And that's not as far as Donovan pushing up top. That's not a bad option. I mean, in all honesty, he did really well with the U.S. in that position in the Gold Cup.
He sure did.
So that's not out of the question.
So we got Altidore and Dempsey more than likely up top. Yeah. And the only other thing that can kind of creep into people's thoughts is, is Jurgen comfortable with Dempsey's progress so far? Coming back and playing for Seattle, does he feel like Dempsey's reached that 90, 100% fitness stage? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's Costa Rica, and we want to win and get this over with. So I say yes. I think he's going to start Dempsey and Altidore.
You start him if his performance isn't up to par. I mean, I guess Klinsmann will be keeping an eye on him throughout practice, and a lot of his comments about Dempsey, saying that Dempsey's excited. This is his chance to get his 100th cap. It's a benchmark for players. He wants to get it.
Right.
And, it's an interesting thing. We'll see what happens type thing, Yeah. But a lot of his comments made it sound like Dempsey's going to start.
Yeah. I'd imagine.
As well as he should.
Yeah.
I think he's been a key player this entire cycle.
Yeah, exactly. So then I think starting with the left midfield, you got Fabian Johnson. I don't think there's any doubt about that, with Jones and Bradley in the middle, and then Landon Donovan being the only question mark outright. Not a question mark for me, but in my mind thinking, all right, is Klinsmann still going to, start Zusi instead and continue this sort of punishment of Landon Donovan, if you will. But if he's over that, and I really hope he is, because I think it would be kind of childish at this point, then you've got Landon Donovan starting on the right midfield spot.
When he came back in the Gold Cup and he showed that he's, not only still there, but he's still an important player on the pitch.
Best player in the tournament.
When you took Donovan off the pitch, the play decreased drastically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something he definitely offers to the team, even if Klinsmann still is like holding that little like I kind of want to stick it to you one more time type thing.
Yeah,
I definitely feel he's going to play him.
I don't know how you can.
It'd be a little silly to not play him because there's no real reason why you could come out and say, yes, Zusi is the better option than Donovan. And in all honesty, with this being an important game, you want your best players on the pitch.
No way that Zusi has been. Now, don't get me wrong. Zusi's been playing great for Kansas City this season, but who's been playing better in the last month? I would argue that Landon Donovan's the best player on this team right now. The way he's playing for club and country recently, I can't even think of anybody who's played better on a regular basis. So I don't think there's any question there. And is there any doubt at all that Jones and Bradley start in the middle? I mean, it seems to be a lock.
Who's going to take his place?
Well,
Beckerman?
Beckerman or Mix. No, there's just no way. So
that's pretty much set. I mean, you have if you want to go for more of a defensive shell, you throw in Beckerman late in the game, or if you want to push a little more offensive mind, you throw a little bit of Mix in there.
Yeah.
Even then, I don't see. I mean, Bradley's going to be the full 90, guarantee. He's a motor that never stops. Jones is only going to come off if he's playing like crap.
Well, and I love the fact, now that we're moving to the back four, that Beasley's playing so well that it gives us that option to play Fabian Johnson at the left midfield spot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's where I think we're going to see the ball go up and down that wing all day long with Beasley and Fabian Johnson interchanging.
Speed aspect of the DMB and Fabian Johnson reminds me of the tandem of LD with Trundolo, a younger Trundolo.
Yeah.
Constantly doing the overlaps, and that right side was always our most dangerous side. I guarantee you that left side, which is kind of ironic to say because, for the longest time it was our weakest side as a whole. It's going to probably be one of our strongest sides that we're going to do a lot of our playing through. I mean, once you push up into the offensive third and Johnson's up there with the ball, I mean, he creates opportunities. Similar to Donovan on the right-hand side, but still. With that speedy left-hand side, it's going to cause a lot of problems for Costa Rica.
The right side, I think, in this upcoming game, we're not going to see as much action from Cameron on the right back spot. That's my pick for the right back spot. I think he'll hold it a little bit more and not advance so far forward. And LD in front of him will probably do a little bit more cutting in because the ball will probably be moving down the center and the left midfield or the left wings areas rather than down the right.
So now, question.
Yeah.
Before Parkhurst came in, did you have Evans as a right back, or did you still have Cameron at that point?
I had Evans as the starter at right back before I picked Cameron. Now with Evans gone, I picked Cameron. It was a tough decision, and I was just trying to get into Jurgen Klinsmann's mind at the time when I was thinking about it. And then, you always still have that option of playing Cameron alongside Bessler at the center back and leaving Omar out, who's made some errors.
Yeah.
And if you're really going to be cautious, you could put Cameron and Bessler back there together and put Evans on the right. With Evans gone, I think that kind of ended the speculation for me. Cameron will play where he plays most of the time for Stoke, and that's out wide. And then I think we'll see Omar and Beasler in the middle. I made that promise I would stop calling him Bessler, and I'm still calling him.
You'll eventually get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had written down Parkhurst, but the more I thought about it, I'm really not sure if Parkhurst would be an option for a starter in this match in such an intense environment. Not only that, I mean, Cameron is a better option coming out of the back, in my opinion. He has more control. He's a big body in the box, especially needed. Looking at the snow, what is it called? The Snow Classico.
Yeah.
In Colorado, we had Cameron, Gonzo, and Goodson, along with DeMarcus Beasley. Mind you, with the snow on the pitch, it created a lot of hassle where Costa Rica had to play a lot more balls in the air.
Yeah.
Saying that with it not being so much a snow bowl, will Costa Rica continue doing that? And on that question, if they're playing a lot of passing games and keeping the ball low on the ground and playing at speed that way, would you prefer a Cameron over Parkhurst? I'd still probably say yes. Cameron's actually pretty quick for his size.
Yeah, no, I would still pick Cameron. I think he's more athletic. I think he's generally a better body to have back there. And again, I also look at his club play. I mean, he's off to a great fast start with Stoke. Had some great performances so far. Very reliable. Hasn't made any errors. So I think Cameron's your guy. And Parkhurst was also brought in the last minute.
Exactly. Yeah.
As sort of an afterthought when Evans was out. So that meant he wasn't high on Klinsmann's list to begin with.
One big thing to know is on our lineup that we had just given, 7 of our 11 starting players are in yellow card troubles.
Yeah.
Josie, Bradley, Cameron, Dempsey, Howard, Fabian Johnson, and Jones all have cards. I feel like if Josie picks up a yellow card against Costa Rica, we do have backups who can step in and play, and still score goals.
Yeah.
If Cameron gets a yellow card, while not as formidable, we'd still have Parker, who has performed well for the U.S., who could still pitch in the right. So, we do have options available for us. That's one thing I like about this squad is that, you could list players in the squad. You could even throw Bedoya in or Zusi in, and we'd still have, a pretty formidable squad there.
This is the deepest club we've had in a long time. I think the surprising factor is how many of them now play in the United States.
Yeah.
You go down that list, and you're looking at EJ and Clint Dempsey and Landon Donovan and Graham Zusi and Kyle Beckerman, who will probably be on the bench, no doubt, but still.
Gonzalez,
Beasler. It's just really. You would have told me that 5 years ago. I'd have said no. The trend is there's going to be fewer and fewer. We're going to go from 3 making the roster to 1 making the roster, where that's obviously not the case. We're going to be moving up, and it's going to be a decent handful of players from MLS who are going to end up making this squad for the World Cup, and that says something about the MLS, I think, and I think it also says something about maybe the future and where things are headed. That we might see more guys like Zusi decide to stay. It doesn't seem that playing in MLS is a delegitimizing. It used to be kind of a ball and chain. Yeah, you're playing great, but you're playing great in MLS, and that's, people used to think that's, so what, rather play or start some guy from Scandinavia. I think that's changing. As far as likely bench players, the likely substitutes as usual, maybe EJ, maybe Johansson, maybe Mix, Beckerman, Zusi, I think we'll for sure see. And maybe Parkhurst. Those are my likely subs. I don't see any of the other guys necessarily coming in unless, there is some sort of foul trouble or we're up.
Injury.
Yeah, or we're up 5-0. Yeah, I'd personally like to see some more of Aaron Johansson. Frankly, I was really impressed.
The kid looks hungry. He'll back some goals. I think he's going to get some minutes here.
Johansson, Eddie Johnson, second half up top. Who knows? That would be pretty cool. Probably, you have Eddie coming in the 55th or 65th minute for somebody, and then in the 75th minute, we'll see Aaron Johansson again. All right, folks, that is it, and good luck to the United States in the game. And we will be back to discuss the results of both the Costa Rica and Mexico game when they are done. Hopefully we'll have only nice things to say. Until next time on the Straight Red Card, good night.